So this is the AgPlan Financial tool that we've been talking about a little bit. It's what we're going to use in this course to build our balance sheet and our financial statements, our cash flow and income statements. And then also we'll be using it to do some of the analyses in our financial situation. We're also going to have a practice farm, which you can find next to the link here. You can download a PDF for ABC Farms, and that's the farm that we're going to use for this. So what you'll need to do for this practice one will be to go ahead and create these documents and the files here so you can practice. If you have your own farm in your own situation, I would recommend also then going on and doing that. If you're not quite there yet, well, this is a tool that you'll be using somewhere down the road. I guess this is my So we're going to practice building a balance sheet today. That's the first step. You've been reading about balance sheets this week. What it is a snapshot, once a year snapshot in time of how your farm's doing. So typically what you have is a year-long balance sheet that's a good starting point. You want to start it on the same point every year so that you're comparing apples to apples. Typically recommended to do January 1st. That doesn't necessarily mean you have to wake up on January 1st and you can go right to work at developing this. It just means that you look back at your books later when you have time to sit down and do this relatively close, and then take a look at that January 1st period in your books to enter the data into these. And then this year we're building the 2017 balance sheet for this year. We'll finish that year on December 31st next year. So this year will go through to December 31st, 2017. And then once you have this kind of system in place, well, the January 1 of 2018, you just copy the information over to start, and then you can adjust the numbers into that. That's the nice part about these tools is that lets you do that really quickly and efficiently. And then one of the things that's really valuable about the balance sheet is that once you have those years in place, the 2 different years, you can look at the end of it and say, well, are we growing? Are we building our net worth? Is our assets growing and our liabilities decreasing, and how are we doing? As we'll look at a little bit with this ABC plan, this is set up to go into the FinPAC program, which is the Center for Farm Financial Management created their business management, farm management program that you could buy a subscription to and use. It's a very powerful tool. There's a lot of things that you can do in that we won't be able to do with this tool. Although this has a lot of the capability, it's a really nice tool that just came out this last year. So we're going to fumble through it a little bit because this is my first time working through this tool, but we'll get through it. That's okay. One of the great things about this kind of thing is you gotta practice, you gotta try, and it's not something that everybody knows how to do right away, so that's all right too. Anyway, in the data that we have, you'll notice we're going to get into entering it. There's 2 columns of similar numbers. What they're doing and what you do in FinPAC is that you look at market values and then values on a cash basis. You'll have to decide which one you want to put in for your own farm, and if you're using this tool, if you decide to purchase FinPAC somewhere down the road, you can do both. One of the big things that is different in a farm business than, say, any other Main Street business is that Main Street businesses usually only do market or a cash basis, not a market basis. Farms, you value in things like land and buildings, and things become part of that. That becomes part of your asset list on a market basis. Well, I struggle with that a little bit because if that grows, is your net worth growing because market value is changing, or is it growing because of your business attributes to the farm? So that's one of the challenges. That's why FinPAC has both. You can kind of look and see when it runs a balance sheet for you, it gives gives you both your market data and your cash based data. And you can kind of see is this growth that we're seeing in your balance sheet, is that because of we live in Dane County and the real estate rates keep growing every year and we've adjusted for that? Or is it because we're making some investments and getting better and our farm is growing profitably or is growing in value due to our management? I guess whichever one you choose is, again, up to you. The big thing is to be consistent. You don't want to bounce back and forth between the two different accounting systems and two different management systems. Consistency is key so that you're comparing apples to apples when it comes to, I guess you might have guessed already, I would prefer, I look at it on a cash basis. That's why if I only I'm a little bit on the conservative side financially. Although a lot of banks will look at your assets from the market basis when it comes to their analysis. For doing an analysis on how I'm doing financially, I want to know on a cash basis because market only exists if you cash it in. So we want to, on this front page, the first page of AgPlan, we're in the general info tab, and you would just fill out the information for our farm. Then for the practice farm, it's listed all on the sheet that you'll be grabbing off. It'll be next to us the PDF file that says ABC Farms. That's you can enter that. We're going to be looking at year 2017. Ask some questions about your farm. Here, do you sell your products direct to consumer? Are you selling only to a processor, or both, or either? You can choose that for yourself. I'm going to leave it on both, either. Sometimes speaking is a challenge. And then the other question that it asks you is if you want to have both your business and personal on your own, you can decide on that. And the data that we have in this farm, the ABC Farms, it has some of the personal information in it too. I guess one of the things that you'll have to decide on your own farm. There's no right or wrong answer. It's up to you to decide that. But the question really is your personal, if you have personal cash, does that really get separated out from the farm, or does some of that come back in? So if you have you or your spouse or have a partner that's working off farm, say to get part of it to get health insurance for the employees and for yourself. That's personal that personal income, that personal gets included in the farm.